Good morning, everybody. Shana Tova, Happy New Year. We are so honored that you're here with us to celebrate Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. As we listen to this beautiful music by Joel Waldman, we invite you to enter a wish that you have for the new year in the chat.
כי אל שומע תפילות ותחנונים אתה שמע קולנו אדוני אלוהינו חוס ורחם עלינו שמע
Again, thank you so much for being with us here this morning. Carrie, do you want to stop the music? Great. I am Elisa Finson, the Senior Vice President of Community Engagement for the Jewish Federation of Greater Los Angeles. While we wish we were here together in person, we are honored to have all of you with us. If this is your first time celebrating Rosh Hashanah, we hope this is a very meaningful and inspiring morning for you. We are joined today by so many important civic leaders who represent our city at all levels of government, and it's truly wonderful to have everyone with us. It is my honor now to introduce the Federation's President and CEO, Jay Sanderson. Jay?
Thank you, Elisa, and Shana Tova to everyone. This is a bittersweet experience for me because, as most of you know, this will be my last time speaking to you at this wonderful event as the President and the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Los Angeles. For almost 12 years, I've had the honor of serving my community, the Jewish community, as well as the community at large, and working with such valued partners from state and city government. And I want to thank you all for what you have done for Los Angeles, for the state of California, and for my benefit for the Jewish community. When I think about this year, it's hard not to look at it also kind of in a bittersweet way. When we come to the high holidays, what happens in the Jewish tradition is we look back before we look forward. And looking back, this has not necessarily been the year we wanted it to be. We're not fully out of COVID. We are seeing our community more polarized than it's ever been. We are seeing issues in a way that we've never seen them before, right in front of our faces. We have a lot to address as a community, and I feel strongly that we will do it together. When I look forward with optimism because of everybody that's on this call, because of the strength of our community. So I want to say Happy New Year to everyone, Jewish and non-Jewish. I wish us all a year of peace, a sweet year, a healthy year. And I want to, again, express my tremendous gratitude for our partnership and for the work that we've done together. And I hope for the work that we do together to really heal our brokenness and create a better community and a better world.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you all for being here. I'm Rabbi Alana Greenblatt. I'm here at the Jewish Federation at the Board of Rabbis. And it's my honor to gather with all of you today. We read, in Jewish tradition, we read a Torah portion, a piece of the Bible every week. And this week, the part that we read in leading up to the new year is particularly powerful. It talks about how all of the people gathered together. They gathered together with their leaders and with the entire community, and they reaffirmed their covenant with God and with each other. And they were Moses reminded them that God had set before them two paths, the path of life and blessing and the path of death and cursing, and that they should choose life so that they and their descendants may live. And they were given a pep talk that this commandment was not too hard for them. It wasn't far away that they couldn't reach it, but rather it was near to them and they could do it. And my teacher, Rabbi Mimi Feigelson, taught me that in addition to the words of the text itself, there's also a message in the names of the Torah portion of this week and the next few weeks. This week, Nitzavim, it means we stand. Next week, Vayelech means we go. And Ha'azinu, the week after that, means we listen. And then V'zot HaBracha is the week after that, which means this is the blessing. So we stand, we go, we listen, and this is a blessing. And these words mean so much at this moment because as the people gathered with their leaders to reaffirm their covenant, that's really what we're doing today. We're gathering together with our leaders and with the whole community to reaffirm the covenant that we have together with God and with one another to care for this city that we love. And we are reminded of the imperative to choose life and to choose blessing. That's not been an abstract concept, but this year it's been something that we've had to do all day, every day with vigilance to take all of the precautions necessary to preserve our lives and the lives of those around us. And we will continue to do that in the year to come. And this pep talk that we can do it is the encouragement that we need now. As we can feel overwhelmed going into our second new year in this pandemic, we gain strength and courage from one another. Today, we're going to do those steps. We're going to gather together and stand together as one with our leaders, with our whole community. We're going to reflect on how we move forward from here. We're going to listen to our leaders and to one another, and this will be a blessing and is a blessing for the new year. We pray that our next year will be one of blessing, of health, of healing, and of bettering our community. And let us say, Amen. It is my honor now to call on, we're going to hear from a number of our leaders today. Some of them are joining us live. Some of them have submitted special videos for us, and we're really grateful that they are taking the time to be with us today and to share their wisdom with us. We are truly blessed to have these leaders and to be able to move forward together in strength. So first, we're going to hear from our mayor, Eric Garcetti, via video.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mayor Eric Garcetti, and I'm filled with joy to once again greet the Jewish Federation at the head of the year. Last year at this time, we were locked out of our sanctuaries, reimagining shared spaces of reflection and celebration. And this year finds us somewhere between together and apart. A tremendous effort to deliver millions of vaccinations has allowed many of us to gather in person this year. We'll get to meet each other's eyes, though because of the Delta variant and the restored mask mandate, we won't get to see each other's whole faces just yet. But others of us will once again find each other in a virtual space, creating anew our rituals of connection and atonement for the demands of an uncertain moment. But one way or another, the hopeful sweetness of apples dipped in honey will remind us of our joys amid our struggles we've never felt again like this. The waters of the Los Angeles River or the Santa Monica Bay will carry off our sins and burdens. The blast of the shofar will reawaken strength within us to guide our tikkun olam, the healing of our broken world. And truthfully, every year finds our souls, our communities, our world somewhere between together and apart. We cherish the rituals of the days of awe for allowing us to renew and reflect, to return to the world. So from my family to yours, Shana Tova U'Metecha, have a happy and a healthy and a sweet new year.
Thank you. And now we hear from Assemblymember Jesse Gabriel of District 45.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. Good morning, everybody. Good morning from Sacramento. My name is Jesse Gabriel. I have the great privilege of representing the West San Fernando Valley, including some wonderful people like Jay Sanderson, and also serving as chair of our California Legislative Jewish Caucus here in Sacramento, 18 members strong, and you're going to have an opportunity to hear from some of our fantastic legislators later in the program. I just wanted to say, as we enter the Chagim, as we enter Rosh Hashanah, I am filled this year, as I often am, with a sense of both hope and gratitude. Hope because of the resilience of our community. The city of Los Angeles is incredibly resilient. Our Jewish community is incredibly resilient. Our Jewish Federation, where I was so honored to serve as a board member for several years, is incredibly resilient. And I know we're going to channel that resilience to continue to push forward and to create a better year for ourselves and our world and our children. And also filled with a deep sense of gratitude for all of the people who have stepped up over the past year, certainly our Federation with all of the wonderful work it's done. I look around the call and I see so many wonderful partners in public service who have done incredible things, change makers, civic leaders from diverse communities representing the beautiful diversity of Los Angeles. And so I'm filled with gratitude for all of you and the work that you have done, particularly to lift up our most vulnerable during this pandemic, which has really hit them the hardest and exposed some really challenging fissures in our society. And finally, filled with a deep sense of gratitude for Jay and his remarkable service to our community. I know you've done a lot for the West San Fernando Valley, for the Jewish Federation, for the city of Los Angeles, and we're very, very grateful. So I enter the new year, despite all of the challenges, despite the concerns and the obstacles ahead of us, with a sense of hope and of gratitude. And I wish all of you a Shana Tova Umetuka, a sweet and healthy and happy new year. May you be inscribed and sealed for only good things. And thank you again to the Federation and all the change makers for the wonderful blessings you have bestowed on our community. Shana Tova, everybody.
Thank you so much, Shana Tova. We now hear from Representative Brad Sherman from 30th, CA 30.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Congressman Brad Sherman from America's best named city, Sherman Oaks. And for 25 years, I've represented most of the San Fernando Valley in the United States Congress. I want to thank the Jewish Federation, not only for putting this together, but thank Jay and the entire Federation for all you've done to help people during what has been another difficult year. Those of you aware of the gravity and the multitude of my sins realize just how important these 10 days of atonement are. With so many sins to atone for, I'll be praying very hard. I want to wish everyone who's watching a Shana Tova Umetuka, a happy, healthy, and a sweet new year. As we look at the new year 5782, we see what is happening in Afghanistan. We also see what's happening in the San Fernando Valley, where so many Valley residents have formed lines around the block to donate food to our various food pantries. People who have donned masks to protect vulnerable neighbors, and all those who have helped people during this difficult time. The federal government, I think, has done a lot. We need to do more. But I'm pleased with the child tax credit, the PPP program, the restaurant revitalization fund, and the tenant assistance that we are providing at an unprecedented level. With me here is Scott Abrams, who heads my constituent service office. I want to put in a pitch for his work. Imagine a federal agency makes a mistake. It could happen. It could affect you. You call Scott Abrams. He works very hard. He solves your problem. And then I, Brad Sherman, take the credit. That was true in 5781 and will continue to be true in 5782. Of course, Israel faces threats, as it has throughout its 73 years. The Abrahamic Accords give us some hope. And I look forward to making sure that both political parties here in Washington support the U.S.-Israel alliance. For many of us, Rosh Hashanah will be the first time in 2 years where we can pray together, hear our community sing the songs, and hear the sound of the shofar. As we listen to that clarion call, I know we will think of what has transpired, and we will find strength in our Jewish traditions, Lador Vador, from generation to generation. I want to thank everybody who's joined this call, particularly those community leaders who aren't Jewish and who are reaching out to our community. And I want to say Chag Sameach and Shana Tova. I'm Congressman Brad Sherman.
Thank you so much. And we now call on Senate Majority Leader Bob Pittsburgh.
Thank you very much, Rabbi. It's so good to see so many friends. I come to you from the wonderful Majority Leader's office here in Sacramento. It's one of the best pieces of real estate we've got in our community, both in the San Fernando Valley and in our community. And as I know that so many people with such wisdom on this call and eloquence, I wanted to, as I thought about my 2 minutes, to share a story that I heard from Rabbi Lee Beisel. I think it was in the 80s sometimes, when I was chair of the Dean's Council before we built the Skirball. And I wanted to share that story that I think is important in terms of the learning here today. So Rabbi tells me that once shared a story, and here it goes. On the eve of Rosh Hashanah, a man took stock of his resolutions and reflected on the past, and he realized that nothing has changed, unlike Congressman Sherman just expressed with us. So he went to speak to his rabbi, who asked, "Do you know how long it takes for a giant Chinese bamboo to grow as tall as a building? During the first year, the tiny plant is watered and fertilized, and nothing happens. It's watered and fertilized for another year, and another, and still nothing happens. Then in the fifth year, the bamboo shoot up to the sky, and in 6 weeks, it can grow 90 feet tall. Do you see how long it takes to grow that high? 6 weeks, the man replied. That's your mistake, replied the rabbi. It took 5 years. And if the farmer would have stopped watering and fertilizing the plant at any point during that time, the growth would have been impossible. And what was happening during those 5 years before the shoots grew to be as tall as a building? Underground, an enormous network of roots was developing in support of that growth. Growth takes patience and persistence. Every drop of water makes difference. You may not see a change right away, but growth is happening. With hard work, commitment, and God's help, said the rabbi, you'll eventually break through and reach great heights. So as we celebrate this new year and reflect on the trials and triumphs and challenges of the past year and the coming as it comes to a close, let us all remember that with each good act, with each positive impact, whether we see the results or not at the moment, we water the tree of progress and enrich our lives and those of the people around us. Shana Tova to all of you, and thank you for including me in this very important electronic meeting. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. We'll now hear from Senator Henry Stern, who has sent a video for us.
Lashana Tova to the whole VBS community. Sorry I can't be with you there in person, but it's an honor to serve you in the state Senate. And more importantly, as a public servant here in the West San Fernando Valley and in California at a time where, you know, life is precious. I have new life on the way. Any day now, hopefully I'll be a dad. And with that, at the head of this new year, I hope for new life for all of us. It's been a tough few years, but I know we have it in us. So hold your loved ones close and cherish this new year with sweetness for all. Take good care.
Beautiful, B'Shah Tova. And we now hear from Senator Sidney Kamlager. Will also be via video.
Sorry, just a second.
Hello, everyone. I am Sidney Kamlager, Senator for the 30th Senate District, which includes parts of Los Angeles, Inglewood, and all of Culver City. And I am grateful to be able to join with you to celebrate the first of the High Holy Days. So as we celebrate Rosh Hashanah, let's reflect and be thankful for all of the blessings that we have received this past year and probably years before. And let us pray and be thoughtful about those who are continuing to be impacted by COVID, who are struggling to find food to get on their tables, who are still looking for work, who are uninsured or unhoused. or who maybe do not have enough people around them offering empathy. I work every day to fight for social justice in the legislature, but I also find time to listen more and more deeply, to love more and more deeply, and to learn more and more deeply. I think that if I can do that, then I will be better off in the next year. Will be a better person, a better partner, a better friend, a better neighbor, and a better legislator. I hope you will join me in that kind of reflection. Thank you so much again for inviting me to celebrate with you. Lashana Tova.
Thank you. And now we hear from Assemblymember Richard Bloom of District 50.
I guess I need to start over again. I violated the, I don't think it's written in Torah, but the most important rule to unmute oneself. So Rabbi and I want to wish each and every one of you a prosperous, happy, and sweet new year. And we thank the Federation for bringing us together. And especially this year, we thank Jay for all of your years of service to our community. The theme of the event this year is reflections and visions for the new year. And in thinking about reflecting on our last year, it's really difficult to sugarcoat what we've experienced. A pandemic that's been a worldwide cataclysm that each of us also experiences as individuals. Fire, drought, and weather events have been underscoring the climate crisis. And our beloved Israel has suffered the brunt of the pandemic, of climate change, and sadly yet more violence and terror. But through it all, the Jewish people remained resilient and strong. And Rosh Hashanah draws on that strength and resilience and provides us with a spiritual boost that propels us forward to confront the challenges that we will surely face in the coming year. Rosh Hashanah also reminds us of the importance of the bonds that we continually build as a community, as friends, and as families. Shana Tova to all of you. May we enjoy a year of peace, of joy, and of good health. Thank you.
Thank you. And we now call upon Representative Ted Lieu from California 33.
Thank you so much for inviting me to speak, and happy Rosh Hashanah. I always have a soft spot in my heart for the Jewish Federation of Greater Los Angeles. It was the first time I went to Israel, and you were the organization that took my wife and me to Israel. I also want to say that as we reflect back on the last year, it was very challenging times, and many of you saw a rise in hate crimes against Asian American community, as well as hate crimes continuing against the Jewish American community. I did want to thank the Jewish American community for your strong support of the Asian American community and standing against hate crimes, and really appreciate that going forward. We do know that we do have vaccines that can really be of great effect against this virus, as well as more and more treatments coming online. And with everyone's perseverance and resilience, I look forward to seeing all of you in person next year when we do this again. And I'm also very pleased that earlier this year, we were able to pass American Rescue Plan, which helped get shots in the arms, kids back into schools, people into jobs, and cash in their pockets. And now we're going to work on making sure we get infrastructure through, as well as funding for healthcare and elder care, and to make sure that we can make America an even better place to live, work, and play. And look forward to working with all of you and everyone in the Jewish American community to do just that. So again, happy Rosh Hashanah, and thanks for inviting me to speak.
Thank you so much. And we now hear from LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn from the 4th Supervisorial District.
Thank you. Shalom, everyone, and Shana Tova to all of you. Thank you to the Jewish Federation of Los Angeles for inviting me to join you this morning in marking Rosh Hashanah. what a thrill to hear Henry Stern talk about how he's bringing new life into the world in a few days. And then I thought about my friend Brad Sherman, who this past year lost his mother, and my condolences to him. And we were honored on the LA County Board of Supervisors to adjourn in her honor. Rosh Hashanah is a time for reflection. And this past year was certainly one of the hardest that I can remember. In LA County alone, we had 1.4 million people fall ill with this terrible virus, and we lost 25,000 lives. And countless families here in LA County are still in mourning. But for me, when I reflect on the past year, it wasn't just the horror of last year. When I reflect on what happened, I remember seeing some of the best of humanity and human resilience. I will never forget the heroism and dedication of our first responders and our frontline healthcare workers, who, even when this virus presented so many more questions than answers, they continued to care for the sick. They continued to comfort people in their time of need. And we saw everyday Americans and organizations like yours, the Jewish Federation of Los Angeles, step up to help their neighbors and make sure that people who fell on hard times never went hungry. With the help of volunteers and county employees, we gave out 2.1 million meals to feed just in my district alone, 43,000 households who were hungry. In a time of extreme isolation, people found ways to reach out, to offer support, to offer comfort. And in the wake of racial injustice, we saw people of all backgrounds and walks of life take to the streets to demand a more just future for our nation. Even in the worst of times, we saw people at their best and their bravest. And that's what keeps me going, and that's what gives me hope. I wish you and your families a sweet year full of health, happiness, and peace. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, thank you. And we now hear from Assemblymember Laura Friedman of District 43 via video.
Shana Tova. I'm Assemblymember Laura Friedman. It'd be an understatement to say that we have a lot to reflect on this year. I know all of us have experienced so many challenges and have had our lives radically altered by this terrible pandemic. There's been a lot of pain. My staff and I hear from constituents in need every single day, those who are physically, financially, and emotionally suffering. Now, I don't say this to make us all feel sad today, but because it's important to reflect on not just what we as individuals have gone through, but also on what our friends, our neighbors, and our collected world has been enduring in the last year. I'm always drawn to my favorite Jewish concept, Tikkun Olam, that in the darkness experienced in this year and others, we have a hidden blessing, and that's the opportunity to bring light into the world, to heal the world. This Rosh Hashanah, I'm challenging myself and all of us to focus on our blessings and how we can turn those blessings into action and into resolve to work together to heal the world and every being that inhabits it. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope that we all have a blessed new year.
Thank you. And now we hear from LA City Attorney Mike Burr.
Hi, thanks very much. This is such a privilege to be with everybody today. You know, at the outset, I do want to thank my friend Jay Sanderson. Jay, for all you continue to mean to the Jewish community. We go back, of course, to my earliest days at Beth Tzedek, which were among your earliest days, deeply connected to the Jewish community. Congratulations, Mazel Tov, on a job exceptionally well done. You know, Rosh Hashanah obviously calls on all of us to reflect on how we can repair ourselves and our relationships to each other and the broader world. Everyone is talking about how challenging the last year has been and how much it has tested our strength and our resilience and our ties to our families and our friends and our community. But I have to say, these are the times that define who we are. These are the times when we choose to meet the moment. I'm incredibly encouraged by so much, including by messages in the chat today from Jews and non-Jews alike, expressing how much we mean to each other. As on this Rosh Hashanah, on the question, will we rise to meet the moment? I choose to believe that we will. I choose to believe that we're going to reach out to people, to communities who any of us has diminished or marginalized, to repair and deepen those ties. Those of us in leadership, I believe, are going to be examples of passion and compassion, of action. And I think that all in our community, weary as all of us are of the pandemic and all the strife in our world, are so eager to make our deepest connections matter more than ever. That's the meaning of Rosh Hashanah to me. Shana Tova to everyone. Let's greet the new year with optimism and hope and a promise to each other to do the very best we can. Shana Tova.
And we now hear from LA City Controller Ron Galperin.
Good morning, everyone, and Shana Tova. Thank you so much to the Federation for bringing us together yet again this year. And I wanted to say particularly thank you to President and CEO Jay Sanderson for your many years of leadership, and a mazel tov to the soon-to-be incoming Rabbi Noah Farkas. And each year we come together, and we've done so traditionally in person. This year, of course, we are doing it via Zoom. And while I wish that we could be together in person, the fact that we're coming together as we're doing right now and maintaining this tradition, I think, is a real testament to resilience and to adaptability of our communities throughout Los Angeles. You know, as we usher in this Jewish New Year, we look back on the past year filled with many challenges, as we know. It's really also about renewal, and it's about reflection, to reflect on our blessings and our challenges, to examine our relationships, our intents, our deeds, where we did well, where we would like to do better, hopefully next year. And here we are hanging in there after 18 months of this pandemic. But I am filled with incredible gratitude because I see how people across our city, across our nation, across our world have really risen to the occasion and come together in the midst of this pandemic. I also have to say, today I'm feeling particularly grateful because it was the first day of preschool for our 2-year-old twins. They're turning 2 on Shabbat, Maya and Eli. And my husband, Rabbi Zach Shapiro, and I took them to school. And then in the corner of the classroom is a backpack. And this is one of the crisis response kits as part of the Safe Classroom initiative of the Jewish Federation. And so it's a constant reminder every time we walk into this classroom of how the Federation is really trying to keep communities safe and to be a presence in schools and in congregations throughout Los Angeles. My hope is that this year really brings us closer together, that we increase our bonds of solidarity, that we increase our understanding of one another, and that we spread kindness and that we spread goodness throughout our city and throughout our world. And that's so much of what the Federation does, and so much of why we come together. So I'll just say a Shana Tova, and it's not just about having a happy year, it's about having a year of goodness, a year of health, a year of healing, of community, of progress, and of meaningfulness. And may it be a Shana Tova Umetuka, a very sweet year as we seek to meet the challenges that are ahead of us as we come together to really make this a better world day by day, step by step. Toda Rabba. Thank you so much to everybody.
Rabbi, thank you, and Mazel Tov on the first day of preschool. Very exciting.
Thank you. And they barely cried, so it's wonderful.
Wow, that's amazing. Wonderful. And now we hear from LA City Council member Bob Blumenfeld of District 3.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bob Bloomfield. Nice to see you all. And it really is nice to see you all, even though you're all in tiny little boxes. And of course, I'd much rather be there in person. But one nice thing about this as I'm scrolling through different screens is there's just so many friends and people I've known a long time, and we've all known each other. And so to break virtual bread right now together is a blessing. So Shana Tova, and I want to thank the Federation for putting this together, especially Jay, for all you've done for the Federation, but also for the Jewish community at large. You've been tremendous. So here we are, 5782. What are you going to do? 5781 was no fun. With pandemic, fire, anti-Semitism rise, homelessness. It has been a tough year. But as was mentioned, 5781 is also a chance for Tikkun Olam. And we've seen a lot of good people rise to meet the challenge that we've had this year. In my own community in the West San Fernando Valley, we're tackling issues like homelessness. This year alone, in 5781, we've stood up 2 cabin communities of transitional housing for homeless folks, 1 congregate housing, dealing with some of these critical issues for folks who are the pandemic and everything else has just opened up the inequities even more. And so trying to double down on how we can help the most vulnerable has been not only a personal mission, but I know a mission of almost everybody on this call, if not everybody on this call. Also trying to fight anti-Semitism. Just last week in council, I was proud to lead the council in a unanimous motion to support LAUSD's motion about anti-Semitism, where they had a motion to basically oppose anti-Semitism. But the sad part is the context, is that was needed because there are corners of LAUSD where they're pushing this BDS motion. So we have our challenges cut out for us for this next year. We've seen some amazing people rise to the occasion this past year, and I know all of us here will double down to make 5782 the best it can be. And so I will just end by saying, may you all be vaxxed and boosted, and may this be a healthy, happy, and sweet new year for everyone.
Amen. Thank you so much. We're so grateful that all of our leaders are here with us. We also want to acknowledge a couple who were planning to be here but couldn't make it. So we want to acknowledge LA City Council member Mike Bonin of District 11, who's planning to be here but couldn't for technical reasons at the last moment. And we also want to recognize LA City Council member Paul Koretz, who is out sick today, and we wish him a speedy recovery, refuah shlema. And now you will hear from LA City Council member Paul Krikorian of District 2.
Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Shana Tova. Let me start first by thanking the Federation for bringing us together again this year. It's every year, our Rosh Hashanah celebration is a time for not only for reflecting, but for celebrating the year past and the year still to come, and celebrating the relationships that we all have. And I can't thank the Federation enough for giving us that opportunity at a time when we really need it, and also for the service that you all provide to the people that we represent every single day. I have the privilege of representing the East San Fernando Valley in the City Council, and not only the very large Jewish community that I represent, but everyone in my district benefits from the extraordinary service that the Jewish Federation provides. And so I want to thank you all for that. Thank Jay for his leadership. I also want to thank the Federation for giving me the opportunity to join them on my first trip to Israel, which was really a life-changing experience for me, as I saw firsthand the experience of people who are building an amazing country, and also people who are facing immense challenges at the same time, not just this year, but every year. And as I reflect on this past year, we're facing many trials, all of us, as we celebrate Rosh Hashanah. Of course, we're still suffering the aftermath of COVID and the economic impacts and the extraordinary challenge of homelessness that we face here in the San Fernando Valley and throughout Los Angeles. We're coming up on the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, and we know that hatred and extremism is still with us throughout the world. As we're departing from Afghanistan now and see the terrorism and tragedies that are happening there. For my own Armenian American brothers and sisters, we just emerged from a horrendous and tragic war and genocidal threats by the dictator of Azerbaijan. And it's easy in those circumstances to give up hope. But I reflect on my trip to Israel and visiting Sderot and visiting the people who were under constant daily threat of rocket attacks. And the way they dealt with it was by getting up every morning, taking their kids to school, going to work, standing with one another, supporting one another. And it was that courage and that mutual uplifting that, that inspires me still to this day and makes me grateful and feeling very blessed for all that we have and all that we too often take for granted. Every year in council at Rosh Hashanah, the Federation visits us in council chambers, and we hear the shofar. And it reminds us all, as we hear that sound that has brought in the new year for thousands of years, it reminds us of the resiliency of the human condition. And it reminds us that humanity has always faced challenges, and yet we have overcome them by dedicating ourselves to faith, to helping one another, to lifting up one another, to tikkun olam. That is our duty as people, but it's also our great privilege to be able to make the world a better place and to help one another. So I know that I'm committing myself to that concept this year. I know all of you are as well. Thank you for bringing us together again, and I wish you all a sweet and happy New Year. Shana Tova.
Much. And we now hear from LA City Council member John Lee of District 12.
Good morning, everyone. As I read all the comments in the chat that everyone is writing in the chat, I see a common theme of peace and unity and happiness. So Rosh Hashanah this year and every year means to me is how can I contribute to those goals? Every year on Rosh Hashanah, we start the process of finding our real selves and achieving our goals in life, practicing mitzvahs, good deeds for all. And this process of trying to find our potential in life, we have to remember that this never ends. Every year it starts again and again on Rosh Hashanah. And we look back, did we reach our goals last year? No matter how you or I answer that, the beauty of Rosh Hashanah is that we start that process again, the process of becoming a better person. I hope everyone has a blessed new year. Shana Tova to everyone.
Thank you so much. And now we hear from LA City Council member Mitch O'Farrell of District 13.
Shana Tova. Thank you so much, Rabbi, and good morning, friends. I also want to thank the Jewish Federation of Greater Los Angeles. Thank you so much. Rabbi, you mentioned wisdom in reference to elected officials and leaders, and I'll tell you what, I'll quote the Talmud on wisdom, and the quote is, "Who is the wise person? The one who foresees the consequences." This year, we celebrate renewal and optimism, fortitude, perseverance. And let me just tell you about when I pray for others, I pray for our city, I pray for our world. When it comes to myself, I only ask one thing of our God, and that is, make me a better person, make me more effective at my work, and enable me to help more people. Those are the things I always ask of myself and nothing more. And I do that because I know that others pray for me as well. That's the benefit of having loved ones in your life. And a day like today, Rosh Hashanah, is a time to reflect on how fortunate we are and how we get to turn the page and exalt in our optimism, our fortitude, our perseverance, and our renewal. I am so proud to work across all jurisdictions with the wonderful colleagues on this call, with the county and across the state, and my own colleagues on the city council. Collectively, we are all so focused on so many really wonderful things, whether it's the environment, whether it's housing the unhoused in greater numbers than ever before and stepping that up even further, or whether it's keeping people affected by the pandemic from being evicted from their homes, the food distributions, the daily vaccination events that we have across the city and county now, including my district. And we're doing our best to get people back to life. So on this Rosh Hashanah, I want to provide best wishes and optimism and a happy new year. Thank you so much, and may God bless.
Beautiful. We are blessed to have such leaders who see the consequences and work towards a better community. Thank you so much. We now hear from LA City Council Member Mark Ridley Thomas of District 10.
Mark Ridley Thomas here, and it is my high honor to greet you on the eve of the high holy days and to wish you Shana Tova. I respect and admire this tradition of using this sacred time not just to reflect on a new year, but for reflection on the past, what can be done differently and what can be done better. In Los Angeles, there's much to reflect on. And personally, I will use this opportunity to reflect on our work to help address the homelessness crisis, an issue that is on the hearts and minds of Angelenos of all colors and creeds. Last year, we brought in our unhoused neighbors at an unprecedented rate. Every day, approximately 207 people were housed. But this pales in comparison to the 227 people who fell into homelessness each and every day last year. So as we reflect, we must also re-up our commitment to do more and to do better. We will not make a difference in Los Angeles until we establish a right to housing. This means investing in eviction prevention, in street engagement, and in interim and permanent housing solutions along with supportive services to meet our most vulnerable neighbors where they are and with the resources they need to get back on their feet and thrive. We have much work ahead, and we must do it as one community united by similar goals and values, with a shared vision to celebrate each of our neighbors with dignity and respect. That's what they deserve. Thank you. And once again, Shana Tova.
Wonderful. And we now hear from LAUSD board member Scott Schmerelson of School Board District 3.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me to this celebration. I'm Scott Schmerelson. I'm your school board member in Board District 3, and I have the honor of taking care of our most valuable population, our kids. And I know you all feel that way. So here in the San Fernando Valley in Board District 3, I have 110 schools, 90,000 families, and 20 communities. I go all the way from North Hollywood to Porter Ranch. And, you know, my work again this year, this new year, will be to protect, to educate, and to be sure that all of our children, all of our families have what they need to learn, to live, to thrive for this new school year. You know, all LAUSD students in this new school year will receive free breakfast, free lunch, and free supper. There is no need to show any proof of income to get this. And I am so grateful that we are doing this. We've made sure that all of our students have what they need to learn with this past pandemic, internet, hotspots, devices, anything that the kids need to be successful in their education. And we knew what we had to do, and we fed over 120 million meals, not just to our kids, but to everyone in LAUSD's boundaries. So my wish for this new year is that kids continue to learn, that continue to be successful, and that parents and students and board members and teachers all get together for the best interest of our kids. And what's more important than our kids? I can't think of one thing. Some people may say they're pets, but what's more important than our kids? And we will work to make sure that they're educated. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. As a mom of 2 LAUSD
Yeah, but
students,
use the old
thank you
one
for
today because I
everything
haven't,
that you are
you know,
doing.
activated.
And
You know
we'll
what I'm
now
saying?
hear from LAUSD board member Nick Malvoy from School Board District 4.
Well, thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And as we celebrate the days of awe and the time of miracles, what a miracle that you have an event full of elected officials and you're running basically on time. So everyone should celebrate that miracle. But Happy New Year, Shana Tova. I'm Nick Malvoy, Vice President of the LA Unified Board of Education. And LAUSD is also celebrating a Happy New Year, having kids back in school full time after more than a year and a half. And the first night of Rosh Hashanah, Erev Rosh Hashanah this year falls on Labor Day. And so as we celebrate both of these New Years, the school district one and our Jewish New Year, I especially want to thank all the dedicated teachers and employees of our district who are making it possible for kids to be back safely in the classroom. So thank you all for your continued support of our school communities and leadership through this pandemic. Here's to a sweet, happy, and most of all, healthy New Year. Shana Tova.
And thank you. And now we hear from LAUSD board member Tanya Ortiz Franklin from School Board District 7.
Good morning, and thank you to the Federation and to everyone who spoke before me. I'm Tanya Ortiz Franklin, the newest school board member to LA Unified, and I'm truly grateful to be with you all in community today. As Nick said, it's really special that the start of the Jewish New Year corresponds with the start of the new school year, because I think with both, it's really important to reflect and learn from the year before. Being back on campuses these first few weeks has reminded me of the importance of doing that reflection and that learning together. Children and youth are such a reminder of our community's ability to start anew. They remind us what social beings we are and how resilient and quickly we can learn, adapt, and bounce back. The meaning behind Rosh Hashanah reminds me of a quote from a scholar and poet I deeply admire, whose poem has really gone around classrooms a lot over the last few months, Amanda Gorman, whose mom is a teacher in Board District 7. And in Amanda's presidential inauguration poem, The Hill We Climb, she says, "Being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it." And I love this cross-cultural connection to help us think over the next few days, but anytime we get, especially, to take time to reflect, to take responsibility for our actions, both individual and institutional, and to set intentions for continued improvement. As we begin the new year, I'll hold in my heart the new ways we've learned to stay connected, and I hope to cultivate many more together as we become more welcoming and inclusive communities in our schools that uplift our beautiful cultural, religious, and racial diversity across Los Angeles. Thank you, and may we all have a happy and sweet New Year. Shana Tova.
Thank you so much. We are so blessed from the plethora of leaders and voices that we've heard from so far this morning. We're so grateful. In a moment, we're going to do the blessing on apples and honey. So if you have apples and honey nearby and forgot to bring it, you could grab it at this moment. We're going to hear a little bit of music and then do that blessing in a moment.
Non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Adonenu, mi que malkeinu, mi que moshienu. ¿Quién como nuestro Dios? ¿Quién como nuestro Señor? ¿Quién como nuestro Rey? ¿Quién como nuestro Salvador?
So take your apple and put your honey on it if you have it. And those of you who don't have it, you'll just enjoy it virtually. But the sweetness of the honey represents that we should have a good, sweet new year. So we don't merely say it, but we actually ingest it and we actually taste it together. So we'll say the blessings together that are on your screen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri ha'etz. Yiratzonu fanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei avotenu v'imotenu shetachadesh aleinu shana tova u'mituka. May it be your will, our God, God of our ancestors, to renew for us a good and sweet year. And then the blessing for reaching this moment, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, God, who has kept us alive and sustained us and enabled us to reach this moment.
Amen.
We are now honored to hear from our Consul General of Israel, Dr. Hillel Newman.
Shalom, shalom, everybody. Thank you, Rabbi. And in respect to the elected officials, I think I'm the last batter. There's a tendency always to blame the last batter for the problems. So I hope you won't blame me. I'll keep to my time. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you to the Federation for putting this together and uniting the community in the way that you do. And thanks also to Jay for his years of service. My friends, I think my novelty is that I have the honor of representing the state of Israel, more than 9 million civilians. So I'm standing here with the other 9 million in wishing the entire community Shana Tova U'Metuka. May you all have a wonderful, healthy, and sweet New Year. In Israel, the New Year, the Jewish New Year, is the time that the radio summarizes all the events of the year, global, regional, local, and they do the playlists of the songs. It's like an experience which I miss, unfortunately. But what I can tell you is that everyone does their summary, reflects on the year. And we've had, of course, a difficult year, but we look back and we look at the trying things of the year, but also the inspirational things of the year. So I'd like to give you my short summary of the year. And I think that, we've been overshadowed perhaps by the COVID-19, the suffering of COVID-19, unemployment, sickness, and death. And we've also seen, of course, a rise in hate crimes and anti-Semitism. Even Jews were attacked on the streets of LA. And we've even seen recently an upsurge in radicalism with the Taliban taking over Afghanistan and even the Hamas attacking Israel during this past year. But this has also been a year of tremendous inspiration. And we must look at the good, positive aspects of the past year. We've seen tremendous ingenuity with the development of the vaccinations. And we've seen many fields of innovation, many of them born in Israel, which have come out for the better quality of the life of the human being. And we've also seen the signing of the Abraham Accords, forging diplomatic relations between Israel and additional 4 Arab states, showing that the vector is positive. And I'm thankful to say that Israel is strong and we're moving forward. For me, as was said before by one of the speakers, this year represents the resilience of human spirit. And as we look forward to the next year, hopefully with blessings only, we also hope that we will deepen our ties, the Consulate General of Israel, the State of Israel, with every single one of you here who are participating in this event, in this wonderful community event. We wish everyone health and prosperity. And I remember also Council Member Krikorian said before that his impressions from Israel was how Israel is building a state while facing challenges. That is the story of our life. We continue building while facing and meeting the challenges that we have to meet. That is the message that I try to deliver to all of you, a message of the resilience of human spirit and how we continue to build with all the trials and the difficult things that we might have to face. I hope that Israel touches every one of you. And in my words, I'm trying to deliver a message from Israel to every single one of you. Shana Tova.
Thank you so much. In a moment, we're going to hear the shofar blowing, which Rabbi Joel Nickerson of Rosh Boulevard Temple is going to blow for us. And I want to share with you, the shofar is a ram's horn. It comes to us from the Bible, from biblical times, that we are to blow this ram's horn on the holiday. And if you'll look, you blow into the small portion, and the sound comes out of the large portion of the horn. So this represents that our smallest actions can have large repercussions, and that every small good action we take resonates out into the community. And you'll hear, when you hear the different calls, there are some that are solid and some that are broken. And the order in which it takes place is that you have a solid tekiah, which means one blow, then 3 short ones, 9 shortest ones, and then 1 very long one. And as you hear it, you'll hear that the broken ones, the first one, the 3 short and the 9 sound like crying. And they're supposed to represent crying. The shever, the shvarim, is called broken, and it sounds like crying, and the 9 sounds like sobbing. And yet after that, the longest one emerges, the triumphant one. And so the message is that after sadness, there is triumph, there is joy. And we hope that after all of the pain that we are going through, that we have been through, that there will be joy. And I'm inspired by all of the leaders that we've heard from today and by all of you. And I know that there will be joy that comes after this heartbreak. There will be joy and resilience and triumph together. So I call now on Rabbi Joel Nickerson to lead us in the shofar blowing. Rise, please, spiritually or physically, where you are, and we will do the shofar blowing together. Rabbi Nickerson?
I'm here. I'm ready.
Okay, there you go. Good, big shofar. I love it. Okay, do you want to say the blessing before you begin? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar. Blessed are you, God, who has commanded us and inspired us to listen to the sound of the shofar. Tekiah. Arim. Ruah. Yagedolah. Shana Tova, a sweet and a good new year to everyone. Thank you so much for coming. And may you all be blessed with health and joy in the new year.
Non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Ni que Eloheinu, ni que Adoneinu, ni que Malkeinu, ni que Moshienu. ¿Quién como nuestro Dios? ¿Quién como nuestro Señor? ¿Quién como nuestro Rey? ¿Quién como nuestro Salvador? No del Eloheinu, no de Adoneinu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu. Lo haremos nuestro Dios, lo haremos a nuestro Señor. Lo haremos a nuestro Rey, lo haremos a nuestro Salvador. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adoneinu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Bendito nuestro Dios, bendito nuestro Señor, Bendito nuestro Rey, bendito nuestro Salvador. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adoneinu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Tú el nuestro Dios, tú el nuestro Señor, tú el nuestro Rey, tú el nuestro Salvador.
Keep proud, everyone. Shana Tova. Bye, everyone.